What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Tony Mo from Pixabyte, and today we are taking a look at Leviathan Warships, a turn-based strategy game developed by Pieces Interactive. The game just released and is available on Steam for $9.99. Now, I should also mention the game is also available on Mac and through just about every digital distributor that you can possibly imagine, from Desura to Amazon to the game's main website. On top of that, the game is going to be releasing on May 2nd for iPad and Android tablets for $4.99. And then on top of all of that wonderfulness, it's also going to be cross-platform amongst all four of those platforms. So if you got a friend who's got a Mac, you can play Versus or co-op with him, or your brother who's on an iPad, you can play Versus and co-op with him as well. On top of all that, us here at Pixabyte will be giving away 2 Steam keys for the game. If you guys are interested in winning one of those Steam keys, just post a comment in the section below saying whatever, tell me why you want to play this game, and we will pick a winner at random. But let's dig into this game and see what Leviathan Warships is all about. It is, in fact, as I said, a turn-based strategy. It's naval-based, so everything is done on the open seas here. Har pirate and all that good stuff. But let's talk a little bit about this game and how it actually functions and plays. Now, I have to say this is probably one of the best turn-based strategy games I've played in quite some time. It's right up there with some of my favorites, like the original XCOM, the newer XCOM, actually. It's a very good game, and for the price, it's ridiculous. But let's dig in. You can see here, this is kind of one of our guys just sitting in the dock there. And when we click on him, all these goodies come up. But let's hop onto our main ship here, which is the Arctic Serpent. Now, this is all of our guns and abilities. This is the flower menu, basically, that pops up on the ship. So let's first talk about moving the ship. We are in the planning phase. There are 2 phases in this game. There's the planning and the execution, basically, the outcome. So as you can see here, we have this red arrow and this green arrow. These are our basic move commands for the ship. If we drag the green arrow, we can basically tell our ship where to go. Now, one thing I want to point out is, as you see, the green dotted line, as we move it around, actually creates this really wide arc. And that's because unless we rotate our ship, the ship actually takes a pretty realistic course of action to get to a certain point. You know, it's a big ship, and the bigger the ship, the more room it's going to need to turn. So it's actually, you know, the dotted line is exactly where the ship is going to go. You really need to pay attention to that, so you don't send your ship crashing into rocks, into land, into fellow shipmates, or into enemy ships, because it will cause your ship to be damaged. Let's click off that. That is why the reverse is there. You know, sometimes you have to back yourself out of a situation. And then if we click the compass here, this is how we rotate. We can just click that compass, hold down, start to rotate. Green is the front of our ship, and the orange is the rear. So we're going to, we'll rotate just for the hell of it, and then we're going to issue initial command here. We're going to tell them to move over this way. Before we commit and do all of that, we're going to look at a little bit of our abilities. Now you can see on the left and right side of the ship, pretty much everywhere, we have all these different weapon systems. Now, depending on where the weapon system is positioned on the ship, that also decides where and what direction you're going to be able to fire that. So if we click on the ACL here, which is an autocannon, you can see this is kind of our area of operation of that weapon. Now, we can disable it firing at will. Almost all of the weapons on the ships initially are fire at will. Some of them are required to be fired manually, but initially, as you start the game up, in the campaign, in the single player anyways, you're going to be just using lots of autocannons. But you can disable that if you want to do everything manually, and if you want to do it manually, you simply drag this targeting system here, place it on the enemy, and you're good to go. Now, you have to make sure it's inside of this area of operation, otherwise it's going to be a useless command. Now, say you want to cancel the command out, you simply click remove, and we're good to go there. We can do the same thing with the move commands. We can remove that. We're going to leave that there. We're going to go back to our ship. We also have a burst cannon. That's another weapon you can see there. That does a little bit more damage, but same effect. It has a certain area of operation. Let's hop back in here. And lastly, we have a shield on our ship. Now, if we click the shield, it can be deployed on the front, left, right, or rear, or starboard, or aft. I'm not really sure that it is. You know what it is, I'm not exactly a pirate here, but you can basically deploy the shield. Once it takes a certain amount of damage, it will be depleted, and then it has a cooldown time. Much like all the weapons, they have certain cooldown times, which you will see inside of these bubbles after they fire. So let's hit the commit button here and move on to turn 1, the outcome. Now basically our ship's going to move. You can see the timer here. Once that kind of counts down, the turn will then end. We can also pause it in the middle if we want to stop and assess the situation. Things have gotten out of hand. We can take a look at that. While our ship's kind of moving here, we're going to continue to move into the next phase. I mean, look at this game. It's a very nice looking game. I'm running it on the highest, settings. It doesn't even eat up any of your GPU if you're playing on the PC. It runs very, very well. Even on the lower settings, it's still a good looking game. It's, they've gone for a really nice kind of color palette with the game. It reminds me of sort of a colorish, like Minecraft-y kind of setting. It's very bright greens. Different oceans that you go on will actually be different colors. This one's, a very dark, black ocean almost. There's oceans that are very blue, like tropical style. And we even have, the effect of the beach moving in here, the waves. There's different rocks. The environments are just very nice. Overall, it's a really nice setting to play in. I mean, and for a naval, turn-based strategy game, it's very important that they nailed that, and they definitely did. But we've come into contact with a sprint buzzer up here, which is one of the smaller enemy types. These are the Marauders. And as you can see here, the different ships are designed very uniquely. The Marauders are kind of the pirates. So, they have like spikes on their ships and things like that. Look at this destroyer. I mean, that is the definition of the word destroyer right there. That is just one cool looking ship. And then the good guys over here, we kind of have these really nice, clean styled ships. Some of them, it looks like there's a lot of wood grain on them. They're very, very nice. And overall, I'm very pleased with all of the ships that I've run into so far. The designs are very unique. They really stand apart. But let's, what we're going to do now is we're going to issue a command to move up to here, to this side. We're going to face the side of our ship at the enemy. So we're going to deploy our shield on the left side here. And while we're doing all that, we're also going to issue a command from our ACL, which looks like it's just in line. Now, you do have to lead shots in this game. Once you commit, everything starts moving. So if you don't lead that shot's going to be pretty much wasted. We're actually going to miss that sprint buzzer, but our autocannon actually took care of him. So that's a good example of what I was talking about. As you can see, though, the shield absorbing some damage, absorb time 2 there. A couple more shots, it will be depleted, but we're going to take out the sprint buzzer. We'll continue to commit, take out the sprint buzzer. Now we now have the Swift Destroyer. You can see our autocannon has instantly gone into firing upon him. He's going to try and flank around us here, though. We're going to take a couple more rounds now. Let's assess the situation. We're going to drag that same targeting reticle. It never initiated combat. That means it just stays there. If it never commits or succeeds in its firing operation, it will stay there. You have to remove it or move it around the map like we've done right here. Now, our burst cannon is still out of kind of view there, so we're just going to hit commit. We're going to let our ship continue to rotate. Fire some more autocannon shots. The Swift Destroyer is definitely taking some rounds. Luckily, our Swift Serpent here has a decent amount of armor, and this guy is just missing. Look at him. What a terrible shot. What an awful pirate. We're going to commit again, though. Do some more damage there. If you can hear the sound going in the background faintly, I don't know how well you guys can actually hear it. It's a very nice kind of fanfare, very epic naval warfare battle sound. It fits the game very well. I like it quite a bit. We've actually disabled the ship's engines, I believe, now. So it's pretty much going to be unable to move. The same thing can happen to us, though. We can have ship engines get disabled. We can also have kind of our electronic component get kind of all wacky, which means we won't be able to control the direction that our ship is going. There's a lot of little things in this game that really affect the outcome and how you play it. Now, what you're seeing here is just a kind of glimpse of the different types of ships. The game offers many, many different types of naval vessels that you can combat, including some that have, the ability to cloak. There's even one that has a radar system on it. So, well, basically, you can see this light blue ring here. This is kind of our area of operation, what we can see. Beyond that, we can't really tell if there's any enemies. But if we had the radar guy up, we could actually ping the area, and then it would then show enemy vessels, including cloaked ones. There are actually ones that can cloak. Show them as a green ping on the map. So, lots of different elements as you play through the game that will slowly be revealed. I strongly suggest you play the campaign like we're doing here. There is a tutorial, but after you play the tutorial, hopping into the campaign is something I strongly recommend before you go online. It really helps you slowly, kind of be given different units and helps you learn how to work and function with them. Now, we are using a lot of the autocannon abilities here. As you go through the game, you're going to want to start using more manual fire tactics. Farther in the campaign, I pretty much disabled most of my autocannon systems and was firing on my own because you really want to be making use of every shot and getting them all on target, as well as positioning your ship properly to take the least amount of damage. The game does get much more difficult if you don't really think of strategies. I mean, it's a turn-based strategy game. It definitely plays like one. But if you're a fan of, XCOM or any turn-based strategy in the past, the original XCOM, newer XCOM, I can't even think of any more turn-based strategy games right now. But if you like turn-based strategy games in general and you're looking for something that's a little bit of a different setting, you want to go naval. This game does a very good job of that, and I strongly recommend that you check this game out. We're going to continue to move into here. We will definitely have a link in the description below if you guys are interested. And as I said before, we will be giving away 2 Steam keys for this game. Just post a comment in the section below and we'll select a winner at random. I'm getting slightly destroyed here. I'm going to continue on though. But as always, for more indie game coverage, be sure to subscribe to us here on Pixabyte. Till next time, it's been Tony Mo, and I'll see you guys on the high seas.